Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, faithful acolytes, we take a look at this. Today's product comes courtesy of Roger Damps of Burn Your Tongue, the favorite emporium for all things delectably hot, with actual real live physical locations along the Wasatch Front in Utah. If you're like me, when you're looking for a sauce slinger, you want selection. And with well over 800 varieties, you're sure to find it at Burn Your Tongue. You can also check out Burn Your Tongue on Facebook and Instagram, as well as Burn Your Tongue online. Roger is one of the true aces in the chili head world, and we raise our flame in salute. Now, let us return to the ceremony. And what this is from the Zia Chile traders, the Whiskey River Frontier Hot Sauce. Now, of course, Whiskey River has had a really long and storied history as a fixture, I think, in Americana, be it songs, or I believe there's a barbecue sauce that Red Robin has that they call Whiskey River as well. So I think if you pick this name, you're automatically sort of calling to mind that reference. Except so it doesn't use whiskey per se. It uses bourbon. Bourbon is a whiskey, of course. You know, the Whiskey Creek and Whiskey River leads to Bourbon Falls, if you will. But this seems like kind of a deliberate choice. Got a very nice, old-timey Southwestern theme here to the label. Definitely a good old callback to the Wild Wild West. And, of course, this is from John Hard and Master Saucier. Is Saucier actually a word? I don't know that I would want the label to run off the way that it does on the curve here, but very, very minor and probably irrelevant complaint. Access to stuff he did not have back east, such as a respite from humidity. So we're going for a smoky sweet with a kick. So we have chiles. We have the Hatch, jalapeno, chipotle, Hatch, and Hatch Orizamba. Oh, and Hatch Lumbre. We have the apple cider vinegar, brown sugar, bourbon, cornstarch, black pepper, sea salt, allspice, natural applewood smoke flavor. I would have preferred maybe dialing up the chipotle a little bit into this, but so this, to me anyway, harkens to mind, and I mentioned this in the written review, available down in the description below if you care to check that out. That the flask and this sort of motif, I guess, just it reminded me of the bourbon infused chipotle habanero. There are no chipotle habaneros, or there's no habaneros in here anyway. It is not that sauce. I thought, I was like, oh, maybe he's updated it. Maybe it's a spin. And I think there are references to it. Like, it is somewhat reminiscent of that, at least to my palate. But they're subtle. This is a much thicker sauce. This is nowhere near... The other one wasn't particularly hot. This one isn't hot either. The bourbon is back a little bit further. I wouldn't say this is necessarily a barbecue sauce, but the other sauce I use pretty exclusively as a grill sauce. So I'm pretty familiar with it because I've used it a bunch of times. And that is the big comparison, and we'll be getting into that later in this video. But it is unquestionably not the same sauce. This one is, I think, that has a pretty different intent to it. This one, I think, is more deliberately towards a sort of barbecue sauce. It's not quite smoky, not quite sweet enough to be one of those per se, but it is. This is a very mild sauce as well. You can see it is definitely has a texture maybe closer to like a ketchup or a barbecue sauce. And I mean, I could. This is. It's not more barbecue sauce than hot sauce, but it is a hot sauce that is on the path to a barbecue sauce more so than other hot sauces, if that makes any sense. This lovely, lovely sort of reddish brown color, really, really nice looking sauce, as we come to expect from John Hard. We have about a 7 fluid ounce flask here. So flask is a tad smaller than they used to come in with the other one, but it's kind of the way stuff is going for everybody these days. So you want to make a frontier hot sauce. I'm not quite sure what that reference means exactly, what constitutes a frontier versus other hot sauces, but if I find the answer, that will be in the written review as well. All right, let's get on into this. Little sweeter, little grainier. It's definitely black pepper is much more forward in this. In fact, I'm not even sure it's in the other sauce. We're using bourbon here as opposed to bourbon flavoring. This definitely has a sort of interesting aspect to it. Like I would say it's in that family, but like you wouldn't say that a leopard and a lion are the same thing. They're in the same family, but they're not identical or even particularly close. But it does strike me that there's just a lot of references here, I guess. And I mean, he invented the other sauce, so why not? Why not say, hey, I've got these other things to play with. What if I tweak it? You know, or what if it's a brand new one, but it calls to mind that because you're trying to, you know, aim at the same target, kind of, so to speak. But anyway, so yeah, I did grill some chicken here with it, as I normally do with the bourbon infused, and I have done both of those sauces as well. Although I did the videos for those after the company had been sold. And I noticed they're spinning off a lot of sauces into an area where they're moving away from it looks like the K. John's nameplate. They're trying to have it be its own distinctive thing, which is, I guess, do whatever you want. It's yours at this point. The reason I mention that is they did change the formulation slightly for those two sauces. I did the vanilla one, and I did the black cherry vanilla, and I did the regular one. And it's a sauce I bought and had many, many, many times. The original was one of my favorite grill sauces, and I used to buy it and give it away as Christmas presents sometimes. So I didn't like that sauce, though, either one of those two by itself. I liked it when it had a chance to caramelize some, on the grill. And that, I would say, is more the case than not with this sauce, but I do like this one better than the other two, just as a sauce. The other ones I found a bit, like, I mentioned this a time or two or three or four before. I don't love the flavor of just hard liquor in a sauce. But it can create a little magic when you add it with some heat. I think this one is slightly milder also. Milder in flavor. And I think that's also why I don't dislike it as much when it's just by itself. So, if I were to rank them, I would rank probably the old version as pretty much superior to everything else. That was such a great grill sauce. I had people that told me they got injectors. They injected it right into a turkey, which is a really interesting idea. This is definitely a better way to have this. It's on some nice old chicken thighs as per usual. I'm thinking, so I went back to my old method when I was doing these, and I think in hindsight, my new method of letting it marinate overnight would have worked out better. It doesn't seem like I'm just quite getting the flavor density that I was hoping for. I'm definitely really intrigued by the idea of a frontier hot sauce, because that, I don't know, that was a huge part of the Wild Wild West in any way, shape, or form. And I find the idea just kind of, it tickles me, I guess. But I mean, there was, frontier sauces, certainly there were sauces. And New Mexico and the Wild Wild West, of course, had a huge influx of Mexican cuisine that was influencing what was there. So, and then maybe that's kind of where we're talking about some of these peppers here. Maybe that's more what he meant. I'm not sure. But as far as the sauce, it's I think it just needs a lot more, for me, It needs more smoke. It's a very, very sweet sauce. And a lot of the sweet elements like the bourbons and what are we got in here? Brown sugars and stuff are just, they're just a tad forward for me. I would like way more smoke in this. That would be the big tasting improvement as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this is probably what he wanted. John Hard has knows more about sauce, has forgotten more about sauces than I will probably ever know. But for me personally, just the things I like, that is what I would wish. I would wish there was a little bit more smoke in here. Otherwise, I really like the direction this is going. This is a really interesting sauce and definitely combines a lot of the sort of comforting and the warm, rich flavors of that, of that region and these peppers. They're all either hatches or they're jalapenos in nature. And so flavor-wise, it's definitely more flavorful than anything else. Heat is very minimal. Like, I generously gave this a 1. I think it still qualifies as a hot sauce, but some of the other stuff that he's come up with over the years, I don't think Zia Chile is necessarily supposed to be setting everything on fire, though. I don't think that's the intent of this at all. It definitely seems like it's way more experimental. Like he's just having fun trying different styles and different peppers and they're just kind of playing around and just kind of seeing what he comes up with. That is what strikes me as more than anything. And I think this one's good. Again, for me, I just wish there was more smoke in there. But otherwise, it's a pleasant enough sauce. I don't mean to damn it with faint praise, but that's kind of where this one falls for me. It's fine. It could have been more to my preferences, and it isn't. And but it was definitely fun playing around with. And I will. There's enough left here. I will definitely be using the rest of this on the grill, where in my mind it belongs. And but I will say it functions better as a hot sauce than the other ones did before, just by itself. Even though again, it's just not really quite to my preference. And we'll leave it right there. So that was the Zia Chile Traders Whiskey River Frontier Hot Sauce. Now go forward in peace to serve the flame.